Presidents, we are very fortunate to have a guest speaker for you today. And before I let Mr. Neal introduce a bit of his biography, I will tell you, I had the honor of having lunch with him. And for about 15 minutes, I learned more about the geopolitics of Africa, about the Middle East, about religion, and about the world in a matter of about 15 minutes. So I think when he gives your talk today, please have your minds open and you will learn much from this young man. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Neal, who brought him to us, and to give you some background on him.
Thank you, everyone. So, I'm going to just briefly read a biographical sketch from his publishing company. Abdi Iftin learned English by watching action movies. When United States Marines landed to take on the warlords in Somalia, Abdi cheered the arrival of these real-life American action heroes. Sporting hip-hop clothes and dance moves. I don't know if he'll break any of those out today or not, but he became known as Abdi American. But when radical Islamists took control in 2006, it became dangerous to celebrate Western culture. And instead, Abdi risked his life posting secret dispatches to the NPR. As life in Somalia grew more dangerous, he fled to Kenya, and in an amazing stroke of luck, he won entrance to the United States in the annual visa lottery. Though his route to America, ending in a harrowing sequence of events that nearly stranded him in Nairobi, did not come easily. Now he is a proud resident of Maine and is on the path to citizenship. That's from his publisher. What I know is what I experienced in reading his memoir, his book, and in what my wife passed along in meeting him this summer, face-to-face, and spending time with him. And when she returned from that time and in that conversation with him, and then after reading the book, both of us felt that the time spent and what we read was inspiring, motivating, changing in many ways our perception of the world around us, and certainly the world at large. So I was excited to think that we could have him come here. I mentioned to my wife, do you think he'd come and talk to the school? And she said, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. So I asked him and he said yes, and here he is. So we're excited to have him here talking to you here today and sharing with you today. Please welcome to the platform, Abdi Nor Iftin.
Well, hello. All right. I'm honored. Thanks so much, Dean. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Nearly 30 years ago, the first bullets of Somalia's civil war were fired. I was only 5 years old. I remember the smell of the gunpowder and the stained blood. I want to share with you what the Washington Post wrote about the beginning of the Somali Civil War in 1991. The haunting images have become almost daily television newsfare. Pathetic, gaunt bodies. Images have become almost, orphans with hollow eyes, hospitals overrun with gunshot victims, and rival groups perpetuating untold slaughter of each other. The first 4 months of the war killed 30,000 people. 1.5 million fled the country, and 2.5 million were locally displaced. So my family, including myself, have become one of those locally displaced in the city where I was born, Mogadishu. I don't remember one day that I felt safe. Life at the time was filled with risks, life-threatening moments, feeling like burning in the fire of despair and hopelessness. But I never complained. I had to focus on survival. That was the most basic desire at the moment. I had to survive not only from the Civil War itself, but also from natural disasters. Somalia had a drought that came along with the war in 1992, and that famine or drought had killed 120,000 people. Most of them were kids of my age. So 1 in 6 children was dying. My own sister was one of those that could not even find milk. I remember touching her skin as I lowered her body to the graveyard. So daily life in Mogadishu, in fact, had taught me to appreciate the smallest things in life that we take for granted, including breathing, drinking, eating, walking freely, going to the movies, dancing, singing, anything you can think of. From my childhood to teenage and even as an adult, I always thought that those who have a functioning government, hospitals, clinics, schools, police, and firefighters are blessed and that they have everything. I never thought that anybody that has all the things that I mentioned above could ever complain. What is missing in life when you are free to walk out of your house without worrying of being shopped and be able to come back in the evening knowing that you have plans the next day? In my world, growing up, there was never tomorrow. How about the freedom to speak, to travel, the liberty that we have here in the United States? How about the choices and options that we have, what to eat, what not to eat? How about the possibility of finding a job, or some type of school, or some type of subject that you want to study in the future? Those things never existed because no school was open. So my mother, who's a strong nomadic woman, grew up in the nomadic Somali culture. Her whole happiness was her wealth. And when I say wealth, I'm not talking about a bank account or money that she had. In fact, she had never touched money or had ever seen money. All she had was hundreds of goats and camels and her family. She walked with the animals all day long and returned home at sunset to eat and dance and tell stories. She was free. She was happy. She never attended school or never wore rubber shoes. 1977, again a drought hit Somalia that killed all her animals. My mother was forced to move to the city. In this case, she lost her wealth and pride. But she found something that she likes and to be proud of, which is myself, my brother, and my sister. She was very resilient, and she quickly adapted to the city life. However, when the war broke out, again she lost the few things that she had. One of her daughters, the house, the jewelry, the money, and she watched my father have to walk away. I remember these memories so vividly when I was crying because my belly was empty. And we were on the side of the street because we lost our house. The streets are dusty and dangerous. But Mom would not close her eyes, rather she would tell us stories. Stories so that we could go to bed. These were the times that people had crossed borders and deserts to get a better life, jobs, future. Thousands of Somalis crossed into Kenya, into Yemen, and made it all the way to the United States. My family was not one of those lucky ones. So I looked up the word resilience as I was interested in talking about it today. So according to the American Psychological Association, the word resilience is defined as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant source of stress, such as family, relationship problems, or workplaces, or maybe some financial stressors. But then I look at my story, and what I see in my story is resilience. Despite the many moments in life that I saw a Malaysian man pointing a gun in my head, or the moment when I was supposed to be joining an army and I had to escape and hide, or those moments when midnights I had to cross from one border to get into a country seeking safety and peace. Or that moment when I stood by a sailboat with pirates, arguing that I had $50, $40, and I wanted to get on a boat to cross the Gulf of Aden into Yemen. In fact, this is one of the routes out of Somalia where many young men of my age were crossing into wherever they could get. It's a 3-hour ride on a sailboat from one end of Somalia to the shores of Yemen. I have friends who did this. Some were successful, they made it. Some did not. And I always say this was my life. It's either life or death. And survival was everything, and I was ready to put my life at risk. When I turned 22, I still living in Mogadishu. In fact, I lost some freedom that I had in my own country. These are things that you look at yourself every day. These are things that you can do when you open up your laptop or look at yourself on movies. I got to know America through films. In fact, I got to know America through a film produced or started by immigrants who migrated to the United States from the wars in Europe. Arnold Schwarzenegger is an American immigrant. He was inspired, he himself was inspired by the Patterson films, by Johnny Weissmuller. And Johnny Weissmuller is an immigrant himself from Austria. And here I was, Abdi, the age of 12, sitting in front of a TV, small television screen, watching these action commandos and the Terminators, being inspired. That's how I learned my English. But at the age of 22, I lost all the freedom when, in fact, a group decided to bomb the movie theater and destroy everything that was in there, and arrested the woman who was running this movie theater. So I had two choices: to run away to wherever I could, or to join the group that had, in fact, just taken the power. And it's a group that chanted "Death to America" every single day. 3 times I came face to face with them, that I could hear their whispers. They wanted my name. They wanted my energy. And just like my friends, they wanted me to go up and face tanks and helicopters to go to war. But what I did was that I went into hiding and I recorded my stories every day. I talked about death, talked about destruction, losing a sense of community, and most of all, losing the freedom that I had. Those stories have reached the audience in the United States of America. Now I made friends, and people have been reaching out, and because of that, I came to Kenya. And when I came to Kenya, Kenya is next to Somalia. Now that's how you become a refugee. I've never been a refugee in my own country, because that's not how refugees are identified. To be a refugee, you have to leave your own country of nationality, cross the border, and go somewhere else. And when I came to Kenya, my name was taken down. I was given a date of birth that I did not choose, so I was born 1/1/1985. That's January 1, and I didn't choose that. But automatically, the officers, whoever was writing my name, decided to put that in the paper. I want to read to you what the refugee paper says. As I picked up that paper, it had my photo on it, and it had my fingerprints on it. Now I was official refugee, but then I read the paper, the letter. It said, "This is to certify that the bearer of this letter is a prima facie refugee." That really means that they have, after long interviews, that they decided that I was a refugee, that I fled from war. And then it continues, it says that this person is a prima facie refugee under the United Nations mandate. Please extend to this person recognition of all rights and obligations contained in the Refugee Act of 2006. But I want to tell you that 5 years I lived in Kenya, not one day did I feel that I had any rights, or that my own rights had ever been respected, appreciated. So how did I get to the US? With all of that, 5 years in Kenya, with a refugee paper, not allowed to go to school or work, hustling, selling hats and socks, whatever I could. My brother and I lived together in one apartment. So, I paid attention to the ways that one can enter the United States. And for those of you who don't know, there's a program called a Diversity Visa Lottery Program, sometimes called the Green Card Lottery Program. 20 million people apply here each year. 50,000 people are only allowed to come. So you can find out with that number what the chances of winning this lottery looks like. I would say it's 1 in 800. I was very lucky, however, to become one of those winners, 120,000 in the year 2014. But that does not mean, winning does not guarantee that one can come to the United States. So I faced right after winning the lottery and realized my name was picked, I faced multiplicity of borders. Well, what that means is, if you are from Germany, or Kenya, or Vietnam, or somewhere else, the only thing that you had to worry about was passing the interview itself to prove that you speak English, that you finished high school, or that you have some sort of experience working with an organization in your country. To me, I didn't even have a private certificate. I don't even have a high school degree. All I had was I spoke English like an American. And the chance of being qualified based on speaking English wasn't really that good. Meanwhile, those were not the only problems that I faced. At the moment, after I won the lottery, the terrorist attack happened in Kenya. The attackers were Somali nationals and an international group of terrorists. So in this case, the refugees have been labeled to be a problem within the country, and the police were going after each and every single one of the Somali refugees, and we were supposed to go back to Somalia, and deportation had begun. I watched women and children were picked from their apartments and sent back, loaded up in a police truck, and sent to a local soccer field. I called the U.S. Embassy one morning, and I told them the issues, the problems that was going on in town, that I could not even sneak out of the apartment. And I was told, well, okay, if you go to the police station and pick a letter that says you have not committed a crime in town, and then we can proceed with your interview. So I'm imagining, it's like a gift going to show up before the same group of police officers that are looking for you. I took a risk. I had to sneak out of the apartment before the sun rises, and I walked all the way up and showed myself before someone that I would hope they would handcuff me and send me to Somalia. Anyways, it took a little bit of efforts and bribery, in fact, to be able to get what I needed and send it back to the U.S. Embassy. And 2 weeks, I haven't heard anything from the government. My brother told me, you know, Abdi, this is not working out. Give up. And then I said, well, if I give up, what do I have? 5 years in refugee status, I didn't do anything myself. And it feels like standing on one foot, anything could happen to you. But the idea or the feeling of going to America meant everything. The possibility of driving from one place to another place, going to school, finding a job, visiting big cities, New York, Boston. I mean, it was so overwhelming that in fact I had to fight for that. Well, when I landed in Maine, when I give you the whole story, you guys either have to read the book or listen to this American life story about me. But I just want to say, coming to America, first place I landed was Boston. And in my book, I described it like saying, like going to the moon. I mean, imagine if you just landed on the moon. What's the first feeling that you had? Gravity, right? That's what I felt the first time to Boston. I just remember taking steps forward and I'm like, well, this is normal. More like where I came from. And then, it was kind of midnight, but I also, at the age of 29, I was running around like a kid, figuring out things. This was an era when Michael Brown, a young African-American man, was shot exactly the same day, August 11th. So there was breaking news on television, and here I am, first time coming to the US. I wasn't really interested in getting angry or frustrated because police were shooting African Americans. I was just involved at the moment, smelling things, paying attention to every single thing that I see, how people drive, how people dress, and I ended up going on 95, coming from Boston to Maine, and you can imagine what it looks like midnight. And I remember saying to the people who were driving me, family that adopted me to Yarmouth, Maine, I said, well, where are we? Doesn't feel like the US. Because when you watch all these action movies, you see America, that's different. than the one that you see in reality. I mean, I was like, where are the lights? Where are the buildings? Where are the people? Right? As everything looked so dark and spooky. And guess what? We came to Yarmouth. Waking up in the morning with deer and turkey in the background, and then this street. I mean, for those people who watch the Walking Dead movies, that was what came to my mind. I just said, where am I? Why is everything so... Where are the people? Where are the people? I mean, you know, if you see... I was basically hoping Las Vegas or New York. And I thought that every corner of the U.S. definitely looked like that. So the trauma, the dangers that I had been through, somehow was overwhelmed by the new life that I got into. Seeing everything, how the mailbox works. Wait, how do you put something in the microwave? Camping, right? Americans love camping. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. Now I have a place here. But I just want to say that freedom of walking around, coming out of your house, and go to Portland and coming back to Yarmouth, Maine, was more than anything to me. Because I don't remember one single day growing up as a child or a teenager, or even as an adult, where I ever felt the next neighborhood was safe. So it was like paying attention to the steps that you take, to who comes in front of you, to the gunman in the area, to the bullets zipping past. Those were gone. But now it became a matter of rediscovering. It's just seeing things. The yellow bus that carries the students, that stops at the houses, have this blinking light. I actually definitely have to stop by there and just look. That's what happens when you didn't grow up with that, but then you see it in the movies, now it's real, it's happening in front of you. I'm sure that most of you take those for granted. Some of you don't really even like those yellow buses coming to your house, right? I can imagine. But here I was. I woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning, just watch. And the first job that I got was not an easy one. I was insulating houses. It was a tough physical job, but I was super excited for it because I started sponsoring my family financially. And then I landed in college. And then one day, as I was sitting and I talked to people around the dinner table, I realized there's so much need for the stories that happen out there beyond the U.S. borders. Immigration, refugee, asylum seekers, being a Somali, being a Muslim, being a minority, coming from Africa, the issue of assimilation versus integration, America versus the world, you know, everything that you think of that's on the news, or as you flip the pages of the newspaper, I found myself in the middle of this, every page that you turn. As Americans are awakened, as Americans are ready to listen to the stories of others, or for those even who may not want to listen to the stories of those of us who come here, but somehow we're here, we made it. And this is a country of immigration, that's what I believe. Like I said earlier, Arnold was here because he was inspired by Johnny Weissmuller. Johnny Weissmuller was here because he was inspired by America. Who else? You can name it. There's so many successful immigrants who came here and made it all the way up. So for those of us who speak several languages and have been through all these experiences, I think it would be wonderful to be part of this community, to grow in the strength of America, and sort of like strengthening the image of America as well. And I'm really happy to say that I'm part of that. And I have to say that I'm American. Well, going to be American, January 17th is my naturalization ceremony. It's happening in South Portland. What that means is, as I speak right now in front of you, I'm not able to vote because I'm not a citizen yet. However, I just passed my citizenship test. All I need now is to show up January 17th and take the oath. And then from there, just like you, I am an American citizen. So, you know, the question that comes here is, we know as every single one of us have challenges in life, there's things going on. There were moments that I couldn't be here. You know, if I took one turn in my life in the past, if I joined one army, or if my brother and I started going to get the water during the day and the night, where the snipers were shooting at people, I mean, there were many chances that I could not be. One of my sisters is not here with us because of that. But then, for those of you who really feel like life's hard, you know, it's not happening for you, that you feel like the whole world is crashing on you, I would just say, look at my story. And when I say look at my story, what does that really mean? Unlike you, I didn't go to school. You probably started from kindergarten, all the way to middle school and high school. What if I did not learn English by watching movies? Would I be here today? No, I would not. Maybe I would be at the adult ed learning some English. So if you have one motivation in life, one thing that makes you happy, if it's music, if it's some other language, if it's telling your stories, one thing that you really feel like, this is it, you know, and it focus on this thing, and it gives you motivation. I would say mine was, in fact, movies. That's how it all started. And when the movie was bombed, I still spoke English to tell my story. And then when I came to Kenya, I watched 3, 4, 5 movies a day. I know it's so not good these days because we have a lot of things going on. But as a refugee, I didn't have a lot going on. That's how I started. And then my motivation kept going, and the love and the feelings, the appreciation that I had for the life that you have, waking up in the morning, going out, dressing up, doing things in your life, that's what kept me going. So if someone looked up to you guys, and I'm sure it's happening as we speak now, there are millions of refugees out there who watch you. Maybe not you, but they watch movies. Or maybe they will watch this video, this speech we said. So you ask questions. And we'll just say, one day I want to sit there, be at school. One day I want to speak myself. I want to tell my own story. And I would like to conclude by saying, as I inspire people read my stories, every single day I'm also inspired by the stories of every person that I meet. Now, guess what? If you tell me a short story about, let's see, where are you good at? Football? I know nothing about football or baseball. I would love to listen so closely and say, like, how does that work? How do you do that? Or music. You play piano? Yeah, someone out there really has no idea what that is, and we would love to hear that. That's a story itself. So you need to know that what you have is something that somebody else really wants to experience, to see. And most of all, the freedom, the liberty, the life that we have here in the U.S. is something that 70.8 million, I think, now is the total number of refugees and asylum seekers and locally displaced people out there in the world that do not have what we have, are struggling every day to find food, water, peace, and safety. And I would like to conclude to say thank you again for listening, and I would love to take some questions if there are any. How does the question work? Yes. Is there a mic? Okay.
It's a short question.
Just a second.
Is your mom here?
No, my mom's not here.
She's not here. Do you think she'll come?
I don't know. Maybe in the future. If America lets me, yeah, she'll come. Text quite some time. Yes. Another question? I think I will hear you. Yes.
What inspired you to write the book?
What inspired me writing my book? I think what inspired me writing my book, most of all, is, you know, when you hear Somalia, what comes to your mind? To the majority of Americans, Hollywood made 2 movies about Somalia. One is called Flag of Down, and it's about American Marines going to Somalia, and helicopters were shut down by the warlord, and now America gets into a fight. And the other movie is Captain Phillips. It's about the Somali pirates. But so if you watch these two movies, you definitely have the wrong impression about Somalia. So I wrote a book, most of all, to talk about the struggles of families in Somalia, those who are not involved in the war but are caught up in the war. And that applies to millions of other Somali families. So I just wanted to tell that story to the readers out there, because there aren't really many books of second-hand memoirs. People who grew up in the Civil War and had experienced a shift from the Civil War to the Islamic War in 2006 when Al-Shabaab ran over Somalia. There aren't many stories of that kind that you can hear. So I wanted to share my story and sort of like talk about, for those of you who read the book, probably see Somalia now differently than if you have seen the movie. So that's one of the inspiration that got me thinking of writing the book. Yes?
Where can we get a copy of the book?
I'm sure that the local bookstore has some.
Do you have any here?
We'll get some for you.
Right, so the school will get some. But I'm not sure if you walk into this bookstore, they definitely have some. Online, Amazon has copies of the book. You don't shop them online, okay. You can go to the bookstore. Okay.
What's your book called?
Call Me America. Call Me America is the title. Yep. It's out in paperback now. Yes.
What's your favorite American movie?
Good question. Let's see. I mean, I'm into action films, right? So I still watch the Commandos and the Terminators. But these days, Star Wars. Why? Well, I just started watching Harry Potter. I don't know, I'm trying to be a young American kid. I'm catching up. Yes?
How old are your siblings?
No one knows how old we are. That's cool, I don't know. I don't know how old I am. So I made it up. Now I'm 34. According to what I picked, 1985. My sister, I have no idea, but she's either 2 or 3 years younger. My brother's a year older, so you can imagine, 35. And so, yeah. So but now, my birthday is June 20th. It's not true. It's not real. It could be today. It could be tomorrow. Is there anybody in this room who doesn't know when they were born? Well, I don't see one person. So you all know when you were born, huh? It's impressive. I don't, so I'm happy with that. Where was that question number? Yes? Do I am considered to be an actor? Yes. Are you going to hire me? Oh, great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can speak like Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Coming to America. You know, he's now doing Coming to America too. So I would love to be in the Creed. No, because he's old. Yes?
What would your favorite memory be of your mother?
What's my favorite memory of my mother? Well, I mean, there are several memories. Some of them are not really. So I would, let's see, it's a good question. I miss, in fact, to be honest with you, I miss how she made me fall asleep. That magic. With empty belly, with my feet bleeding because we walked a lot. So I miss the company of mom. I miss being close to her. Those were memories that I can never forget. And now it's 9 years since I had seen her. It feels so bad to be grown up. And each day that passes, I can feel the distance. I speak to her over the phone, but I cannot see her. 9 years, I don't know how much has changed, but she lives in a war zone. So I'm not able to FaceTime with her, unlike you guys. And I would love to go back someday. if things get back to normal. Yeah. Yes.
Was there ever a point where you gave up hope?
Was there ever a point when I gave up hope? Yes. I think many times, actually, throughout my journey, there were times that I thought, I'm crazy. It's impossible. And one of them is when I won the lottery, and now the attack happens in Kenya, now the refugees are being deported back to Somalia, and the US government wanted me to bring all these documents to prove that I was not a criminal in Kenya. But also to have my name screened by the FBI, by the Homeland Security, if I was related to terrorism, things like that. And you can imagine when that world comes to you, I definitely felt like, well, I of course felt hopeless, completely hopeless. I did not give up. I could only give up when I stopped breathing. That was my thing. But there were times that my brother would look me in the eyes and say, "Well, give up." And I said, "Well, I have nothing to give up. As long as this thing is alive, as long as I know that I'm a winner, I have to keep chasing this thing." So, what was your question?
With everything that you went through, were you still proud of your Somalian descent and everything?
Am I proud to be a Somali origin or an African origin? That's a very good question. You're probably from Africa. So Africa is a continent, right? And I really feel like it's weird when someone calls me African. When you call me Somali, well, great. I mean, imagine if you're from Germany and someone calls you European all the time. Because Germany is part of Europe, but it's not, people like to be identified by their nationality. So I correct people when it comes to Africa. Africa is, I think, that 3 times the size of the US, if I'm correct. So we're talking about a huge place where Nigeria has nothing to do with Somalia. We don't share a language, or culture, or food, or dance. We're totally different people. So if you put me in the box, Africa, now here we are. You and I are treated pretty much the same. So they see you, they see me, and they call us 2 Africans.
My question was, with everything the Somalian maybe go through as a childhood and adult life, are you still proud of calling yourself a Somalian, or is that not the way you see yourself and being like that?
I am. Somalia is an identity. It's not the country that had, it's the people. It's the tribal conflict that, it's the people that are destroying places. If you look at the map, Somalia is such a unique, beautiful place. I think we have the second longest coastline in Africa. So there's no way that I would ever say, no, I just don't want to be a Somalian. That's not possible, especially as a grown-up man coming to this country. In fact, I connect with home right now as time passes here in the U.S. As I become an American citizen, I also become an international, transnational. I connect, like I have 1 foot in Somalia and I have 1 foot here in the U.S. So if I ever have the chance, I would love to go back, contribute, rebuild this country. Because once upon a time, the U.S. didn't have all these buildings. There was a civil war in this country. Once upon a time, people were enslaved in this country. So it's a matter of history. And I believe that maybe, 30 years from now, whatever it is, that Africa will transform itself. And that wherever you come from, Nigeria? Correct? Oh, Rwanda. There you go. You're pretty close. Okay. Rwanda or Somalia, I know that Rwanda is doing great. That Somalia, we have Rwanda troops in Somalia, by the way. Yeah. Or Burundi, I think. We have two. They send armies to our country. Thank you. I thought one day peace will come, But Somalia is a place that will never escape my mind. Yes?
Out of all countries in the whole world, why the United States?
Why the United States? I think, honestly, America is such a unique place. If you're from Russia.
Yes.
There you go. There are Russians in this country, there are English, Canadians. So America is such a place where everybody, doesn't matter where you come from, dreams to at least one day to visit and experience the life. I wanted to test what a burger at McDonald's tastes like. And now I was addicted to Dunkin' Donuts for a whole year. You know, so America is such a place that sort of gathers the whole world. And so America, yeah, that's it. I mean, I never thought of going to Russia. I'm not saying anything against Russia, but Russia didn't come to me, but America has come all the way to where I was, 10,000 miles from here. And I met them through the movies, and the people that I watched were immigrants who left their own countries and became successful actors or governors, you know, like Arnold and others. And I thought this is the place. It's only America that can make it possible for someone to come and start a new life, rebuild yourself. Yes?
How has your life changed as a result of sharing your story?
How did my life change? Well, it made me a little celebrity, which I don't like. Why? Which is something funny, right? Because you have all these followers on Facebook and Twitter, and people messaging you, and like, are you available to speak? Are you this, are you that? But I'm not going to change. Because 5 years ago, I was a refugee. Meaning I was invisible. The world wasn't interested in me. Nobody wrote me a message. You know, people didn't know me that much. But now that I told my story in a book and on the radio, it touches the hearts and minds of people. Students are reading the book, learning about Somalia, the Somali culture, what it really means to become an asylum seeker or a refugee or an immigrant, or what it means to come to this country. How much do we go through to come here, legally or illegally? You know, so I sort of cover that journey, and I think it made me realize how important it is that we tell our stories. I'm also learning more about Americans who read my book and give me a feedback. So I think it goes both ways. I'm really learning more of the people who read my book as I hang out with them, and as much as they learn about my story as they read my book and listen to my stories on the radio. Yes?
If you went back to Somalia, as an individual, what could you really realistically hope to change?
So the question is, if I go back to Somalia as an individual, what do I hope to change? In my book, I say I want to be the first Somali president. But that was kind of a joke. But Somalia needs a lot of support. You know, the generation that's now rising, that were born in the last 10, 15 years, are growing up in a world with no music, no movies, no entertainment, and all you have is just the options of any group that's in the area that are watching you as you grow up and recruit young generation. So if I want to go back, I would love to bring education into the country. Not changing the minds of people, but sort of like introducing some sort of education system where people, young generation have to start having hope and dreams. In my time, it was English, there was nothing else. So the English that I learned got easier. Right at home. Does that mean the end of it?
Close, yeah. Take one more.
Okay, so one more question. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes.
In the American Constitution, states that it's about people, not necessarily only Americans, people. And the three that are mentioned are life, liberty, justice, and happiness. I often try to think and learn about what the others are. And one of them I came up with, I came up with more, but this one I'm concerned about, is that considering how human beings have migrated from Africa to all the other corners of the world over these like 1 million so years, I also personally feel that the right to be anywhere on the planet where you wish to be, I feel that that is an inalienable right. What do you
agree with you. I agree with you. And I wish that was true today.
Yeah, I know. I mean, laws are constructs.
Right.
Dolphins can go anywhere, whales can go anywhere, birds can go anywhere, bees can go anywhere, but we can't.
I agree with you completely, but I like to say that this is an era that we live today where the moving population is much larger than anywhere else in the world. As we speak, in the last 40 minutes or so that I was standing here, hundreds of thousands of people have crossed the border. They have. Some are stranded somewhere in the ocean trying to get somewhere else, right? And some are going the other way. Just, I know that lots of African Americans have now decided to move back to Ghana, right? They did, and they found some happiness and joy up there, and it's Africa, and we're coming here to, you're right. So I think that's a fundamental right. If the Americans can go to the moon and Mars, right? So why can't we go anywhere else?
I want to thank our guest speakers today, everybody. Okay, students who are